Hello everyone. So today we're going to do a little fan art. So my younger brother, I made a painting of the Shire during Christmas time, kind of winter holiday. It was kind of, I think it was more a painting of Bag End, and he really liked it. He's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and he thought it was a really cozy painting, and he's used it for his lock screen and stuff on his phone. So he approached me the other day, and he's like, we need something for fall time, for October or Halloween. So I'm going to attempt to make, a painting of some nondescript hobbit hole somewhere in the Shire during autumn. Maybe have some pumpkins, a black cat, make it feel very autumn time, very chill and relaxing and crisp. Yeah. So we can get right into that. So I've laid down, some colors, some forms, some shapes, just because I kind of already, I started doing this and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't done a YouTube video in a while. So might as well just start recording this. So, this is about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, half hour in. Just kind of getting a scene down, getting some colors in, figuring out where things are going to go. I have a bunch of reference images. So this stuff I will be... Whoops. This stuff, I might pull up or something if I need some inspiration, or I need to figure out what the form of something is, what might be proper colors or lighting. So this is just kind of my mood, my reference, my inspiration board. The composition for this, I kind of want to go off of this piece right here of the Shire. It's actually from, I think it's from like that new video game that just came out, like a Shire sim game. And I just thought it looked really beautiful. You kind of have this stream or this river going through, it's leading your eye into some hobbit holes. So I was thinking we can do something like that. I like the way this tree was tilting as well right here. So I kind of tried to emulate it a bit, and wait, let's get this on one layer. And this, kind of bringing the eye towards the center. And yeah, this is going to be a fun piece to do, especially because it's a vertical canvas, and I don't think I've done a video on doing something with a vertical canvas. My chair is really squeaky, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so right now I'm just trying to lock in some colors, figure out, what I want the sky to look like. And I want to give the impression that this maybe is kind of approaching dusk. So when you have, dusk or dawn, your sky has a very definite gradient, where at the horizon, the colors should be brighter, should be a higher value. And then, the further up you get, the darker it gets. Because, of course, the sun is positioned there. So right now, just kind of feeling out everything. I mean, I was tempted to just put on some Shire music, some ambient Lord of the Rings music. I'm just not sure how that would conflict with the audio. Maybe if I did a test ahead of time, we could have done something like that. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and keep painting this through. So what my idea here is, this is going to be like a cobble road or something leading in. And then we'll have some hobbit holes here. Maybe one right here, and then some pumpkins. Maybe out here, maybe a wheelbarrow of pumpkins as well. But right now we need to just kind of nail the nail the colors and the shapes and the forms before we get into any fine detailing. So I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but right now what I'm doing here, this isn't part of the sky. This would just be, maybe a distant valley, distant hills, and as landforms become more distant, they take on a much bluer hue, much cooler temperature. So I'm just trying to portray that. And a good thing you can do to kind of tell people that this is in the distance is add little suggestions of trees that are much smaller than the trees, that are closer to us. Yeah, me and all my brothers are huge Lord of the Rings Tolkien fans. So I've done, several, maybe a dozen kind of Lord of the Rings fan art stuff over the years. And it always is really fun because, I don't know, there's something about that world, Middle-earth in particular, compared to most other fantasy worlds. It has this kind of humming feeling of, I don't know, like transcendence or like, I'm not sure even what to say. There's always a hopefulness to the world. It is not as grim as The Witcher or Game of Thrones. There's always this common theme that even in the most dire circumstances, goodness will prevail. And it also, the thing I love about it too is, it gets really epic. It has a lot of really epic moments, but there's a huge humility to it, and there's a kind of beautiful simplicity to, out of all the cool places in Middle-earth, so many people would love to just live in the Shire. And I think that's kind of awesome, like, just this kind of quaint, bucolic country life. There's something so beautiful and bare bones about it. So yeah, just the complication with this piece is definitely going to be, well, first I have a time constraint. I need to be somewhere in like an hour and a half. So we're going to see how fast I can paint this in an hour and a half. That will be the challenge for me. But the other piece is that the Shire is known to be very, very green. That's like a huge thing, is when people think of the Shire, they almost have a feeling of, the lush areas of Scotland, of England, of Ireland. And when you're talking about autumn, you're talking about a lot of changing colors. So this is going to feel like maybe a more muted color palette compared to other seasons of the Shire. But it will be interesting to see what type of vibrancy we can kind of capture with these fall time colors. I'm going to zoom out a bit just to get a little more perspective here. Okay, so the thinking is this would kind of be water down here. Need to probably suggest that better. And then I'm thinking we'll have kind of these beautiful red, orange leaves drifting on the surface of the water. They've fallen from this tree or something. In fact, maybe I should add some texture to these trees. I have a number of texture brushes like this. It has like a spongy, textury feel to it. It allows you to have a certain degree of toothiness with plant life and foliage. Oh, we're gonna do that on let's do this on a separate layer and just stretch that around, see how that looks. Whoops, I hit my mic. Let's drop the value in it. Yeah, maybe something like that. Problem I'm having is this piece is lacking vibrancy right now. I mean, it's kind of early stages, but we'll see what we can push out as far as vibrancy. So just playing with a little bit of the lighting levels here. It's an easy way to get a nice impression of color and of tone. Playing around with color balance. It looks very autumn-timey to me. Okay, so this is kind of the part where once you have your color palette down in a piece, you can kind of just start picking and pulling from the piece's colors. So I'm seeing this orange here. I'm saying, oh, that might look pretty good on the tree out here. Now another thing we need to do is we have this cobble path that I want to kind of detail out. So cobblestone can be a little weird, especially to do it, you know, manually like this. But there are tricks. There are many tricks, trixies, hobbitses. You can do something like this, where you go on a separate layer, you start doing a bunch of different strokes like this, copy and paste them, shrink them down. Whoops. And you just play around with, you're basically making a texture right now. And then once you have a good degree of texture, you take that layer, you can morph it like this. Helps put it into perspective, and then sometimes going in and just warping it to kind of perfectly fit. Perfectly fit your piece. Yeah, my computer makes that noise every time I'm trying to grab the image and I don't quite grab it. And we could also use this for leaves on the ground too. It's almost feels like that's what it looks like right now. So this is just kind of a quick and dirty way to get a suggestion of texture, you know, right out the gate. And even if it's not perfect, it allows you to just imply that detail. And then you can go back in and fine-tune it, obviously, to how you want it exactly. And we'll do that as well. This doesn't look like the final form of our cobble path. We're probably going to play around with it quite a bit. But right now I kind of like I like it having that, I don't know, that kind of like warm orange color for the stone. It almost makes it look like it is cobble, but there's kind of some gravel and dirt mixed in. Like it's not a perfect little path. Maybe it's a little worn down. We're gonna go in and brush in some darks in the foreground. Helps with like a natural vignette. Now I'm thinking what I would want to do is go in with a brush, a very soft brush, and take like a warmer color for the color. Hold on one sec. My phone is in my lap and it's annoying me. I'll put that over there. What was I doing? Okay, so I'm taking a warmer color. I'm putting the brush setting to color dodge. depending on what painting program you're using, it might be called add or something. This is just the blend mode. Basically, I've mentioned this in a lot of other videos, but basically what it does is it kind of really intensifies the lighter values and gives an impression that there is some luminous light going on. So I'm setting it to that mode, and I'm just at a very low opacity, just brushing in some areas that I think maybe could use some vibrancy. So you see how that it pulls out like this very glowy, beautiful feel. And then sometimes it's nice going into just a normal mode, just no blend or anything, just the normal brush, and just painting at a very low opacity, like 3 to 5%, a very bright color, like a very bright yellow or a bright orange, like that. See, it just gives the impression that there's some light beaming in, or there's a little atmosphere, maybe a little bit of fog or something, but it just gives this very luminous impression. Okay, I'm checking the time because I would like to just do this in one sitting, but I do have to leave for something in like an hour and a half. So we're going to try our best to see what we can get at. Maybe this will be a more abstract, Hobbit painting, Shire painting. Let me look at these. So this is where, references are coming in. Sometimes I like to go to my mood board, just pull something out like that. Just bring it in. So I don't know exactly how Hobbit holes are made, but I'm going to try my best to make them look like Hobbit holes. So just using that as this piece as inspiration. Maybe this is catching some light over here. And you know what I really like? I like this edge lighting on these trees and stuff. That's really nice. I wonder if we can get something in like that. On this, on the grass and the bushes, like that really nice edge lighting. Let's just see if we can achieve something like that. I'm just gonna pull this out real quick while I try to figure this out. You know what, we have a kind of a more grassy texture brush. I wonder what that would look like if we just start trickling that in. Because technically these Hobbit holes are under hills. Like Mr. Frodo's alias, Underhill. So we're going to try to brush in very grassy texture here. Yeah, that's making it look pretty nice. Let's just get more of this grassy texture in. Okay, that's pretty. And then maybe if we have grass up there, should definitely just have some hints of grass. I'm actually thinking like reeds sticking out of the water as well would be interesting. Some type of river, lake grass, just maybe sitting on the edge of the water like this. Just gotta make it work though. Gotta make it make sense. That's nice. duplicate that, stretch it out, just getting a feel for how this might look. Looks alright, we'll keep it for now, and we will change it if we need to. Let's go back in and work on these hobbit holes a bit more. Okay, so keep in mind this cobble path needs to technically lead to these hobbit holes too, and to this one here. So I gotta paint that in. It's actually pretty interesting working vertically, because usually you think of composition as when you're not working vertically, which most of the time, like 90% of all my paintings, if not more, are horizontal. But it changes the way you need to think of composition when the painting is vertical, because now instead of thinking about, oh, what on the left and right is going to lead the viewer's eye back in, you know, the fundamental thing seems to be what at the top and bottom is going to lead the viewer's eyes back in. So we kind of have a line from this tree here, a line from this tree here. We of course have this pathway directly leading us in, so good sense of motion, a good sense of good sense of motion. I didn't have anything else to say beyond that. A good sense of motion, but just a directedness to the eye, and that is kind of a huge thing with composition, is just realizing, like, good composition is your eye isn't lost. It knows where to go. And when you're painting, you kind of need to keep that in mind, that these are... Let me bring this back up. I'm going to zoom in. When you're painting, you need to keep in mind that you're someone on a hiking trail. You're someone blazing the trail and putting up signs. You are, you know, painting trees so people know which trail they're on. That's essentially kind of what a painter is doing. He needs to constantly remind viewers that, hey, look over here. This is where I want you to look. And, you know, I was looking at some early pieces of mine, very early pieces where I just had no sense of composition, and it was just kind of the rule of cool for me. Like, what do I think looks really cool? And I just, you know, put in a mountain, and the mountain is on an alien planet, and there's an astronaut. Oh, and over here there's a spaceship taking off. And you have all these different cool things, but it's so distracting. And when you look at it, you're like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be sensing here. I don't know what the story is, or where my eye's supposed to go. Yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. Definitely. Alright, so trying to give a suggestion that this is wood. And we're keeping things still pretty loosey-goosey. I don't want to overcomplicate this too much. We also need a... Whoops. Dang it. Did auto color by accident. We need a door. I'm just doing this on a separate layer because Then I can kind of contort the circle a little bit into perspective, and if things are dumb looking, I can delete it. But normally, and I've said this in my other videos, I normally I like painting on one layer. For some reason, that's just how it works for me. I think the painting looks better overall, and you get this over time. Painting just on one layer exclusively, get like a layer texture, and I think there's a ton of character when you mess something up and you have to paint over, or you don't necessarily mess something up, but you're like, that doesn't look very good, I want to try again. Instead of it being on a separate layer where you can just simply erase it or just completely delete the layer, now you have to struggle with repainting over that, or painting it in a way that makes sense. So maybe your tree looks a little weird. Instead of being able to erase it, you're going to have to actually manually go in and paint around that tree and figure out how you can make it work a little better. So there's some character that I think can be added by relying on that. Instead of having the easy way out. And I'm noticing this too because I'm doing a lot of, real painting now. I'm painting on canvases, and I'm kind of glad that as a digital painter, I've had this philosophy of just sticking to one canvas, because it's trained me so well that when I mess something up, it's not the end of the world, and I can kind of adjust and kind of improv it. And that's what I'm noticing with my canvas pieces, is I'll mess something up or something won't look right, and I feel like, I have the general confidence to just be able to paint over it and be able to change it. So that's like a skill that I think, as a digital painter, it's good to have. Not only do I think it adds, a degree of texture and quality by having all those little happy accidents and stuff, and having those little paint overs, but I think it adds an authenticity to it, and people can kind of resonate with that. Okay, I'm giving it a little lit window here. I'm realizing that we could probably drop the overall value of this side of the hill anyways. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the reference for now. I'm just gonna go in and fine-tune on my own, because there is a point where the reference can become a bit of a handicap, and you're focused way too much on making it look like the reference, and not enough on making the piece work within your wider painting. And often I notice that a lot when I'm working on a piece and something's not working. I'm like, oh man, why isn't this working? It looks exactly like the reference I'm using. Often that can also be the problem, is if it is looking exactly like the reference you're using, then maybe it just looks like you collage something together. And of course, there's matte painting too. And I occasionally dabble in matte painting as well, where you can, cut something out or a texture from a photo, and you find a way to bake it in and make it look seamless. But when you're manually painting something, sometimes just, straight up trying to stick to a reference as much as possible can hinder you quite a bit. Alright, so I'm going in. I want to paint a little bit of foliage or something going on here. I just realized that, these hobbits, We know there are gardeners among them, so let's add some bushes that maybe during the springtime and summertime they blossom. So a little bit of storytelling. But, yeah, I think we need to detail out these hobbit holes a little better. I think they deserve a little more texture. I mean, they kind of look cute, a little cartoony, and maybe that's a good vibe still. Like I said, what time is it? Because I don't have a whole lot of time. But, yeah, let's add like a little texture. Just going in and fine-tuning things with a harder brush can add implied detail, which is perfect. Makes things look very painterly. I just put a little highlights on the wood. Just trying to see how that might look. Of course, you know what? If you have a window with some candle or lantern light in it, it's going to maybe light up some of the banisters on the outside as well. So we'll just try to get some subtle lighting there. And another thing to keep in mind, especially when you're working with references and photo references, you want to, especially if you're trying to achieve a more painterly feel, you don't want to do a perfect translation of any photo, ever. And the reason is because it doesn't look like a painting anymore. I mean, there are people who are great at capturing photorealism, but there's kind of a soullessness to it if your skill amounts to just being a really, really good photocopier. I think there's a lot of artistry involved in not just copying, but translating. And that's what great artists do. Like, you can go to the Hudson River Valley, you can go to Yellowstone, you can go see all these beautiful national parks. And they look amazing. But there's a quality to Bierstadt's paintings that, still there's a special mysticism, a beauty to it, to the way that, these, it looks like the place, it looks like the actual place, but there's something he's translating, there's something he's saying in the way he depicts it. And there's a beauty to that, to not let reality dictate itself to you literally, but to allow it to speak to you on a more symbolic or poetic level. And there's something really awesome about that. And I think every good artist has that, especially if you look at a lot of artists that are maybe a little more impressionistic, artists who have very good, as one of my friends calls it brush economy, which basically means they can, beautifully portray something in few brush strokes. Those artists are masters at translating reality, because you'll look at some of their work. Look up any of Craig Mullin's work, and Greg Rutkowski's. They have a lot of pieces that are very, 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 very sparse when it comes to the amount of brushwork in it. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful brushwork, but they aren't, going down to the microscopic level and trying to photorealistically capture every pixel of the thing they're trying to make. They sometimes realize that, hey, I can just imply the detail of this valley with this brush pattern. Or I don't need a perfect photorealistic sheen. With this really toothy, textury brush, I can achieve a very implied detail of that sheen. And that is that's compelling to people when they see stuff like that. When I was younger and I would go to museums, I would always marvel at some of these landscape pieces, these more like romantic era and like luminous landscape pieces. I'm like, how did they do that? And I always loved standing really close to the paintings, and you could see the brush strokes, and you're like, wow, that's crazy that like they were able to achieve that with this very haphazard, strokey, textury balance of brushwork. And that is something that, is lost in a lot of digital art. There's a lot of people that I'm trying to figure out like a texture for these bushes here. There's a lot of people that they kind of obsess over the hyper details and obsess over making their piece not look painterly at all, but very, very, very polished. And actually, I've noticed that with a lot of AI work does that. It tends to favor a very polished look, almost like a movie poster, very sterile look. And there's something lost with that, because the beauty of a lot of art, for me at least, is the translation process of how can I capture beauty in so few brushstrokes, or how can I translate this beauty in my own texture, my own way of painting. And if you're obsessed with, well, I'm not strictly gonna try to translate it, I'm just gonna try to, as best as possible, make it look like the thing I'm looking at, make it look like it's super, super realistic. There's something lost there, because, that is a skill, and that's, pretty awesome skill if you're able to do that. But there is something very, very compelling about having a piece that is, that says something about the artist. That tells you, how the artist is thinking. Like, why did they make it look like this instead of like the literal real life thing? Why does it look more like this? Okay, trying to figure this out. I think maybe we want like a sloping hill. Anyways, that was my filibuster on keeping things painterly and kind of impressionistic. I have artist friends that really hate Impressionism, or think it kind of held art back from progressing. But, to me, I really see something amazing about what the Impressionists were able to achieve. And if you want someone who's kind of like a pseudo-impressionist, but almost kind of Rembrandt, Da Vinci-esque, look up Antonio Mancini. This man did, because I need to save on time. Let me grab this window. Let me maximize this window. Anyways, Antonio Mancini did amazing work with portrait paintings, figure painting, but in a very, very impressionisty way, but also in a way that didn't feel surreal. Like it still felt like realism. Kind of Rembrandt-esque too. But yeah, just his work is really stellar. I mean, there's so many pieces I'd look at from his work and I'm like, that is so masterful that he was able to capture you know, like an entire face or an impression of a face or a body in a very, very messy way where you're like, wow, that's insane that he's able to do that. All right, we're getting a very nice fall time feel to all this now. Makes me wonder if I should put another tree up here. Excuse me. If the tree doesn't work, we will paint it out. We need more leaves on this tree. Let me take some of this red from here. Yeah, that's nice. It's like a baby tree. Smaller than the other trees. But it might work. We'll just keep it in for now. Yeah, it looks nice. So this water just looks like nothing. So let's make it look like water. Yeah, so my idea was I kind of want it to... Well, I want it to have leaves floating on the top of it. In fact, I kind of want leaves falling, like from this tree. So I gotta figure out how to do that. I don't know if I've ever done like leaves falling. I've done like ash and stuff and a bunch of other stuff like ash and embers and snow. So maybe it's a general principle for stuff that falls is very similar. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But right now, let's figure out this water. So for the water, kind of an issue is we put that like darker grass reed stuff in at the front of our painting, so that might be difficult to get around because we might have to paint over that. Let's zoom in a bit. I'm gonna take some colors from there. Let's add in like a ripple quality. Nice rippling quality here. And you know what? I'm gonna do this on a separate layer just because it's such a big piece, and if I mess up and I have to leave in like, I don't know, 45 minutes. How long have I been doing this? I've been doing this 45 minutes. Okay, hold on. Sorry guys, I gotta text someone. Okay. Text has been sent. Okay. What were we doing? We were doing this. Okay. So interesting thing you can do with water is if you want to have a nice reflection from sky colors, just grab a chunk of your sky, flip it vertically, put on some type of blur. Motion blur is pretty nice because it gives you a directional blur, which adds a nice texture. And, you know, just stretch it out. Maybe play around with a filter. different blend mode. Don't think it's gonna work. Play into your layer style like that. Oh, just kind of a shortcut. And maybe we want it to appear a little more blue because it's kind of in the shade area. Shadow area. Shadow realm. Okay. And then probably the banks of this river / pond / lake / we don't know. Would be casting a little reflection downwards. And I would like to get that that candlelit window, both of these things. I'd like to get them a little more vibrant. Oh, we'll probably need to work on this cobble road too. It's a little dumb looking, so we'll make it look less dumb. But right now, this is feeling pretty Shire-y, which I'm happy. I'm happy it looks Shire-y. That was the goal. Okay, so let's brighten these windows up a bit. So I'm doing the same thing I did with what I did earlier. I'm just doing a color dodge blend on it, on the windows. Now, cool thing we can do to add a little realism and some beauty is take this, flip it vertically, pull it down, add a tiny bit of motion blur, and just blend it in. See how that looks. Okay, so we don't want a lot of the surrounding colors of it. We kind of just primarily want the orange flames. That's looking pretty. Alright, so we're just going to do that, and then what you can do is you can just further go in, take a little bit of that orange, and make it look like it's on water instead of like a mirror. So you just kind of screw around with it a bit, paint over it, add some more highlights to it. So that's looking pretty cool. Okay, so the thing I wanted to do, well, I have so much stuff I want to add in. I want to add a hobbit in. Should I just get the hobbit out of the way? Yeah, maybe just get the hobbit out of the way. It will help tie things together. So I'm thinking it's like not, but this, I mean, the cobblestone is so impressionisty. I don't know if I want it to look a little more realistic. Maybe I do. This is always the hard thing, is figuring out what you want to detail out more. I said that weird. I said detail. What you want to detail out a little more. And you can just get so obsessed with that, especially in these environment pieces. It's like, do I want more leaves? Do I want more stones? Do I want more cobble? Do I want more foliage? It can become pretty exhausting, let me tell you. So you start bouncing around a lot, like what I'm doing right now. Like, what am I doing? Why did I just decide to work on this bush? I don't know. Okay, cobble. I want to try this brush, which also has kind of a spongy pattern, for maybe making a little more cobblestone. Well, so making another cobblestone texture here. That actually looks pretty nice in the foreground, at least. Let us duplicate that texture. The problem I'm having is it kind of just goes into this like dirt all the way back there, and it probably deserves a little more texture down in that area. So let's just play around with this texture. Whoops. Shrink it down. You know, here's the thing. End of the day, maybe you're trying to achieve it and you're trying to make it very cobbly looking thing, but maybe it's coming across more as dirt and gravel. If it does, it doesn't matter. No one knows the difference. No one knows that you were struggling hard to make it look like a cobblestone road. So at the end of the day, if you're okay with it looking more like gravel, no one else will know. Like, no one's gonna look at your paint and go, huh, wow, yeah, he sucks. That doesn't look like cobble. No, they're just gonna go, yeah, that's cool. It's like a really cool dirt gravelly road. So whatever plays, you know, whatever plays, it works for me. Okay, what I'm noticing too is the window lights that I have here are not illuminating any grass below them, which they probably should be. So let's make them do that. That's like little things like that you just kind of have to keep in mind is if I have a light source somewhere, what is it lighting up? Sometimes something will look weird for a long time, and then you'll realize, oh, it's because I made it look like it's just sitting on top of the painting. It needs to actually be doing something. This sky up here is a nice color, and I like that. But I think it could be a little more vibrant. So let's push more saturated violet into it. Maybe something like that. Maybe this blue area right here could be a little more blue. Yeah. It's looking very fall-timey. Very fall-timey. I can almost smell maple syrup and pumpkins and cinnamon. I don't know why. Is maple syrup typically fall time? I feel like it is. I don't know, the taste and the quality of it seems very autumny. Okay, we have a very simple little pond, body of water here. But let's delineate the shoreline from, right now, it's just complete, right? It's going right from reflection into soil. That's kind of weird looking. I want it to not look weird. So we are going to paint a little more of those reeds. Whatever you want to believe this is this dirt? Is this soil? Is this grass? Is this the edge of the bank? Doesn't matter to me as long as it works. But we're just going to try to delineate a little more from the landmass. And then what I would like to do is a little mist on the water. Just a tiny touch of cool mist floating above this pond. And going back, maybe. Okay. I don't know. That's drawing away from the potency of the darks here. I'll just brush in something like that. Okay, I'm noticing too, I would like some of this golden yellowish hue to appear in the water a little more. So we're just going to brush in a tiny bit. Maybe a little bit of this violet in there. And then I want to go back in with a little bit of ripples, some type of water texture on top of it all, to give the impression that maybe it's slightly moving, maybe there's a little bit of a breeze going on. Whoa, my shoulder just like cracked. That looks nice too. That's like a it's catching the skylight. The skylight's literally glistening off of it. That looks nice. Alright, we're gonna merge that down to one layer because everything should be on one layer. Because that's what rules. Let's get a little more of these like reeds, grass stuff in the foreground again. I want to bring out the highlight on this a little more. Just bake this texture, just playing around, cutting and pulling things. Okay, you see, okay, this is like a interesting lesson that I think I can give you all. So what I was noticing is, look at this reflection. You see this like darker bordering right here? That doesn't look good. It doesn't look like there is... It just feels weird. That's not what reflected light. It doesn't have a dark border around it. So what I did is I took a section of this lighter color of the water right here. I just stretched it over, and then I'm playing with the underlying layer blends. So it will preserve the highlights but cover anything else. So you see, you got rid of the dark border there. It's just just helps with the realism. I don't know if we want to... It's still there a little bit. It's not as potent, but you can always go in and just paint a little bit of it out. Little details like that. Grand scheme of things probably don't matter too much, but if you catch them, you know, just do something about them. Adds to the realism if someone can keep on zooming into your work, look at it closer and closer, and they go, oh, wow, yeah, this holds up, this holds up, this holds up. I'm debating if I want birds. I think I want birds. Like birds in the background. And I have a bird flock brush, which is nice. I made it a long time ago and I use it a lot. And what color do we want these birds to be? Yeah, that works. Alright, let's get like a hobbit or something in here. Alright, sorry guys, I have to like, because I'm leaving soon, I'm coordinating something with a friend. I check my phone from time to time, It's not because you're boring me, it's because I'm addicted to my phone and communication. Okay. What were we doing? Oh yeah, we're gonna paint some suggestion of a hobbit in here. Okay, hobbit time. Alright, I was thinking like him having a cloak like the hobbits do in the films. We're gonna do this on a separate layer. If I had a decent reference for the back view of a hobbit walking with a walking stick with a cloak on, I'd probably use it. But I've, doing a lot of history dose stuff too. Yeah, you can kind of rough out a silhouette, pretty easily. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to try to rough out a silhouette here. And then we'll, touch in some colors and some highlights and stuff. But yeah, as one of my artist buddies has told me in the past, silhouettes are great to work with. You just start working away. Once you get the silhouette down, the shape down, it's pretty easy to figure out colors and everything else because you have a rough shape of something. It's kind of like when you're a little kid and you're making a house and it's like a triangle and a square. Well, now I know where the windows go. Now I know where the door goes. Now if there's a light, I know where the light goes. If there's a lawn. So it's kind of like interesting thing is that if you can get the shape down of something, a lot of stuff intuitively, snaps into place. Give him some type of walking stick here. So would his cloak be covering his feet? I'm trying to remember what it was like for the hobbits in the films. I think you would have a suggestion of some feet sticking out. I don't think the cloaks went down all the way. I'm not sure though. I think they like were just about at their feet. I could be wrong. That hobbit is huge. Why are you so big? Alright, and I just realized I said I was going to put on another layer and I never did that. So we're going to go back before I painted it at all. And we're not going to start again because I lassoed him out. So here he is. Yay. And yeah, he is pretty big for a hobbit. So maybe we could correct that. Okay, I gotta compare him to the door size. So hobbits shouldn't be like ducking to get inside their house. So that's probably a good height right there. He's not Gandalf. Oh man, I should have put Gandalf in this. Maybe should I still put Gandalf in it? Oh, maybe I should. Maybe. I'll see how I feel. Yeah, I don't know. Any of you guys watch Rings of Power? I have not watched it. I think I watched the first few episodes of the first season. And, yeah, it just didn't work for me. Wasn't clicking. I don't know. I know, Peter Jackson changed a lot of stuff from the books to the films. I don't know, but some of the Jackson films, I think, just they capture, spirit of Tolkien for me. I didn't feel that in a few episodes of Rings of Power I watched. But yeah, I know some people that really like it. There's one person who said that he thought it was up there with the Jackson films. I know they are coming out with the Hunt for Gollum film. And there has been talks of, well, Sir Ian McKellen coming back and possibly Viggo, maybe Orlando Bloom. So I don't know, they'd have to do some like crazy de-aging stuff for them, because this is like I think this is supposed to be set like 60 years before the events of the Fellowship. And they, of course, are 25 years older than they were when they acted in the Fellowship. So it'd be a bit of a awkward thing having, Viggo portray what is supposed to be someone 60 years younger. And of course, he's part of the Dunedain, so he ages less. But still, it would look kind of weird if you have, however old he is, like 60-year-old Viggo trying to play a younger version of his Fellowship role. Alright, we gotta get a shadow in for this guy. Another thing that I would like to do, and I wonder if I just upload it to this art YouTube channel as well, is I compose a lot of the music for History Dose now. Actually, a lot of the recent episodes, most of them are, all the music is composed by me. I'm not amazing, especially when it comes to melodies and themes, but as far as ambient, tone setting, and stuff, I think I'm pretty decent. So I'd like to do like maybe a live stream or a video like this where I go over my process for that if people would like to see it. I know this is primarily like an art thing, an art channel, but maybe people would be interested in that. I don't know. Alright, this is looking pretty nice. I feel like maybe his cloak could use a couple. A little more highlights. A little more color on his cloak. Make it look a little more blue. Okay, we have pumpkins. Oh yeah, I wanted to add pumpkins in. That's why I put pumpkins in my reference images. Right, let me make sure I'm still recording. I am. Yay. Okay. Let us... I want to add a cat in like the foreground or something. Let us pull one of these pumpkins out. And let's go to town. Let's see. Let's try to paint some pumpkins. Okay. We'll add like a little pumpkin patch over here. Maybe there's like a giant pumpkin there too. And so, like, a lot of this stuff, like, I don't know, have I ever painted a pumpkin before? I don't even know. But, like, a lot of this stuff, it's about capturing the shape. And of course, with my style, it's very brushy, very impressionistic-y, so, I try not to get too obsessed with the details of anything. That might be a little too bright. Let's go in with a much softer brush here. So maybe it does have a brightness on like the edge where the sun or the whatever this is, the candle lantern light is hitting it. Yeah, maybe it's you get some suggestion of grooves. There. And then the stem, right? We need a stem on these pumpkins. Yeah, I'm gonna put it through. Oh, alright, that's good. Right now, it is a real object that's probably casting a shadow. I'm gonna grab this. I think I'm gonna grab one of these pumpkins here. Oh shoot. And make a fat big boy. Like that. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Maybe darken that a bit. I don't know. Do I need to? Fine tune it. Maybe add a little bit of grass. Suggestion of grass in the shadows. Ah, shoot. I never put a hobbit door on the other thing. It's like it has no door. Well, let's just copy this one then. Bring it over. Now this hobbit can get in and out of his house. It was a different lighting setting though, so we gotta make it work over here. Do a little paint over so it just fits better in this environment. And it doesn't look like a carbon copy of the other one. Well, maybe they go to the same door manufacturer. I don't know. Is there a door manufacturer in Hobbiton? In the Shire? Let's oh yeah, I forgot. I wanted to okay, so those pumpkins, like, they're okay. They're kind of standing out though. I don't know, do I want like a smaller one here too? Smaller baby. Like that. Try not to make it look identical to the other one. Okay, I gotta leave in like 15 minutes, guys, so I gotta fix this up. Okay, I think the problem with the pumpkins is the shadow on them is a little too dark, so they're just not reading perfect to me. They're not reading. So I'm going to try to lighten them up a little bit. And then, go over them with a little bit of grass. I think making them feel like they are, among blades of grass will help too. This is probably better. Alright, so I wanted like a bunch of falling leaves, and I'm not sure how to do that. I'm gonna just start texturing a bunch of stuff like that. And then we'll just play around with this texture. Maybe these leaves right here are catching some light from the sky coming in. I don't know. And then maybe we have some leaves on the cobblestone. This is very, very quick and dirty because I don't have much time. I want to get this done in one sitting. So forgive me for how dirty this is. I'm so sorry. Okay. Leaves on the surface of the water. I kind of wanted a cat in here. I don't know if I have time. Let's just go for it. Let's go for it. Yep. The cat will just give a Halloween-y feel to the whole piece. Yeah, I don't know why black cats have been associated with, terrible misfortune and witches and stuff. It'd be interesting to figure out why. Yeah, I've actually been looking into the history of witches quite a bit. Ronald Hutton's work. He's a historian that works a lot with a lot of history on pre-Christian, pre-Roman paganism. And he has a book called The Witch, which details like entire history of witchcraft, all the way back to ancient times, different cultures as well. But I had no idea that a lot of our modern day tropes of witches comes from the Roman Empire. I used to think that it was very Judeo-Christian biblically based, but per his argument, a lot, in the Torah and the New Testament, there isn't a lot of mention of witches, and you can translate that differently. And when there is, there's not a lot of mention of, what they do exactly. But the Roman Empire had a very, very defined view of witches and witchcraft. Ideas of spells, of spell books, which actually the idea of spell books came through Egypt to the Roman Empire when they occupied Egypt. So a lot of ideas of magic and horoscopes came from the ancient Egyptians, and then kind of circulated into the Roman Empire when the Egyptians became part of the Roman Empire. But what was I saying? Yeah, a lot of the tropes of witches being people who cast curses, cast spells, brew potions, came out of Rome. We have like transcripts of witches' brews that sound like, something from a modern day fantasy, where they talk about using the froth of a dog's mouth, using something from a toad, the blood of a newborn. Like, you would just say, like, oh yeah, that sounds like a modern day account of a witch, or something that you would find in the Salem witch trials. That's their view of a witch. But yeah, this view of witches actually has survived all the way down to the Salem witch trials and stuff, which is absolutely crazy. I had no idea how much ancient Rome had an impact on our view of witches. I think we're just about done with this. Kind of want to go in and detail out a little more here. Any of these background trees deserve a little love. I mean, their background, they're in the distance. They're not going to be, incredibly, focused on by the viewer, but I don't want them looking like blobs. They still kind of look like blobs. Damn. Okay. Whatever. A little Hobbit Time Shire. Play around with the lighting a little bit here. More dusky. Kind of like that. Maybe brighten it up a little bit. Oh, dang. A leaf, fell right at the cusp of the window, which is just so awkward. So it looks like there's a giant, piece of dirt or dung on top of this window. Let's just get that out. I mean, of course, you could capture a photo just in time where a leaf does land like that. But in a painting, it doesn't seem to translate very well. we're gonna take that out. What I want to do is take a very soft brush and just add a little glow to the windows. Same with that. Kind of want to define our little hobbit guy a little better. So we're just going to add a nice little tiny glow around him like that. And then maybe just the whole thing in general should get a little subtle orange glow, like a little atmosphere. Think about dropping the value of this a little bit. Yeah, it looks nice. Let's get a little more of these darker values in here. Maybe some of these leaves blowing should be like in the a darker value as well. They're not all catching the sunlight. Okay. Cat maybe could be silhouetted a little better. Define it a little more. Now I'm thinking about just bringing one of these pumpkins up here, up front, because they're so distant down there. I mean, you barely see them. So maybe there's one right next to this cat. Drop the value a bit on it. And make it actually look like it belongs over here. Maybe a slightly bigger one in front of it. Just so we have a feeling of we're being led into the picture, and there's not just an awkward one pumpkin there. That's not indicating anything. So these are like the trailblazers I'm talking about. Just whenever you think you can find something you could use as a trailblazer, just go for it, as that is important. These are still quick and dirty pumpkins here, just painting quickly some pumpkins in here. Because I have like a matter of minutes and I have to get going. Okay. I should probably finish this up. All right. That's basically the piece. So it'll be up on my ArtStation, and I'll link that so you guys can have like if you want it as a lock screen for your phone. This is why I'm making this. It's because my brother wants a new lock screen that fits the chill autumn vibes and fulfills his fandom of Lord of the Rings. So yeah, here we go. About 90 minutes if you tack on what I did before I started streaming. Well, recording, I'm not streaming. Probably about 2-hour painting. So, pretty good. I would like to detail a little more, but I have to leave. I might go in a little later and just touch up a few things. Alright, see you guys.